All right, what's up, NRBC? You're about to watch our next bottle review. If you guys love this content like we do, please like and subscribe us.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Mike. I am one of the members here at the North Raleigh Bourbon Club. And today I wanted to give you some strategy and some things that worked really well for us while we were out on the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky. But before we get started, if you're finding our videos helpful, whether it be this Bourbon Trail video or even videos about some of our blind reviews, so you don't have to worry about what you should and shouldn't buy, because some of these bottles are really expensive, please be sure to slam that subscribe button right below here and also comment with how you're loving our videos. So yeah, folks, we just recently got back from the Bourbon Trail. About 10 of us went out to Kentucky. We spent 3 days out there. Amazing experience. And today I want to give you some things that we did that worked really well when you're having a group of guys that go to Kentucky, trying to enjoy as much as you can in a quick time frame. So big shout out to the president of North Raleigh Bourbon Club, Anthony. Anthony is a planner, and he planned the perfect trip for all of the guys. It was absolutely amazing. So a couple of things that you might want to be interested in before you go on the Bourbon Trail, and you can learn from. So what we did was we went out as a group. We actually drove out there. And the reason why we drove is because we wanted to have a car so we can drive to the different distilleries. Because if you haven't realized already, there are some private companies that will host you and they will drive you to different distilleries, but they're really expensive. So what we did is we as a group, we were responsible, and we had one person that would volunteer to drive each day so the other members can have a good time. So we saved a bunch of money there just driving ourselves, but we still, even the person who was driving had a great time. So what we did, folks, is we stayed at a really nice house. We called it the mansion, the Bourbon Trail Mansion, but it was on 13 acres. It was really right in the middle of everything, which is great because we were within, Buffalo Trace was really close. I think it was 20, 30 minutes. Maker's Mark, Lux Row, Heaven Hill. We even went into Louisville and went to go see Old Foresters as well. So, if you're going with a big group of people, be sure to comment on this video that you want the link to where we stayed, because it was a great, great Airbnb. It hosted all of us. We were able to cook dinner there every night. We were able to cook breakfast. So when we were ready to go, we can just leave. So it saved us a bunch of money because we didn't have a bunch of restaurants and stuff that we had to go to. We also use a grocery delivery service called Instacart, where basically we could plan out our meals for the 3 days, and Instacart would deliver those groceries to the location. So this way we're not lugging groceries and dealing with all that stuff. You're able to just use that app and it can deliver it right to the location where you're staying. But what we did is we visited quite a few distilleries while we were on the Bourbon Trail, and we tried to fit in as much as we could. But the first one I'll start off with is Buffalo Trace. Now, what I will tell you is that a lot of these distilleries, if you want to book a tour, you have to do it in advance, way in advance, and they book up very fast. So first and foremost, we'll start at Buffalo Trace. For those of you that have not been to Buffalo Trace, they allow you one bottle of allocated bourbon per day, depending on what they put out. Now, what they determine as allocated is Blanton's, E.H. Taylor, Special Reserve, Weller Special Reserve, or Eagle Rare. And what will happen is you can get one of those bottles per day in addition to a Buffalo Trace. Okay, so when we were out on the club, on the Bourbon Trail, each member was able to score a Weller Special Reserve and a Blanton's, except for one of our members, and here's why. So when you go to Buffalo Trace, they put a little wristband on you, and basically what it does is it tracks how often you come back to the distillery. And what they do with their allocated items, they only allow you to get one bottle based on a certain time frame of when you come to the distillery. So the VP of our club, Reed, he had been to the distillery within a certain time frame. They picked up on it and they wouldn't allow him to buy another Blanton's. So be sure to call ahead of time to make sure of what that time frame is. It could be 60 days, it could be 90 days, but just to make sure that if you're going to Buffalo Trace within that same amount of period of time, you won't be able to pick up one of those allocated bottles that you got before. But great tour. Buffalo Trace does a great job. You could tell, even with their bourbon, it is very high quality. So is the distillery tour. We got to go into Warehouse C where the tornado survivor was, which was really cool. We also we got to see, where Blanton's was made. We got to see the new $1.2 billion expansion that they put in. Buffalo Trace did an absolutely amazing job. After the tour was done, we got to go do a tasting, which we were really surprised by the high quality of bourbon that they put out there. You could blind taste Blanton's, Weller Special Reserve, Eagle Rare, Buffalo Trace, the Buffalo Trace Cream, and it was just a great experience. Buffalo Trace did a really, really good job of hosting us and making us feel welcome. So we did that. We did Buffalo Trace. We also spent some time at Heaven Hill, which was a really cool experience. They have a really cool bar upstairs that we enjoyed. Got to try some Evan Williams 12 year up there at that bar, which was really cool. We did the tour, and then we also did the tasting, which was really cool. Great tasting. We got to try some great bottles. So we highly recommend Heaven Hill as well if you're able to make it over there. Now, my personal favorite of all the tours was Lux Row. Lux Row did an absolute amazing job on their tour. The facilities are they just scream money, right? I mean, it is just first class from the tour to the blind tasting room. You get to go into the Rick House and see all the barrels. Like it was absolutely amazing. It was pristine. It just really cool experience. So if you are able to squeeze in Lux Row, do it because it was awesome. We were also very lucky while we were there. We were able to pick up a 12-year single barrel. And then we were also able to pick up the Old Ezra 7-year rye full proof, which I think they only made like 10,000 bottles or something like that. So that was really cool as well. So we really enjoyed that. We also then tracked down to Old Forester's, which was also a really cool experience. I did not realize that Old Forester's is the oldest distillery. They also own Jack Daniels. I did not know that, but I thought that to be really cool. Again, another really cool first class tour. The place was absolutely amazing. The Rick House was cool. Unfortunately, the day that we went, they didn't have any allocated bourbons that we could buy, but they did have some of the birthday bourbon on the wall, but you couldn't buy it. But a really cool experience. Highly recommend going to Old Forester's. Their tasting room was really neat. They had multiple tasting rooms, but the one that we were in was first class. They did an absolute great job with that as well. So we did Lux Row, we did Old Forester, we did Buffalo Trace, Heaven Hill, and then we got to go to this place called Bourbon 30. And this was actually a place where one of our members had been to previously, and he was like, hey, if we have time, we have got to squeeze this place in because it is super cool. So the last day that we were there, after we left Old Forester's, we went to Bourbon 30. Now, I believe that they're actually moving locations. I'm not sure where, but I'm sure if you just Google them, you can find it. But Bourbon 30 was a place where you go in and they have hundreds of barrels available. They had rye, they had whiskeys, they had bourbons, you name it. They had all kinds of brown liquor in there. And basically what you do is you could funnel a little sample of each barrel that you wanted to try. And so what we quickly realized is that we were getting pretty lit because we could try all these different bottles, but you can blend different ones. And what we thought was really cool about that is that, especially on the rye section, you could blend a couple of different ryes and combine them and make your own rye. So what we did was, as a club, we actually came up with a few bottles. Q is one of our members here at the North Raleigh Bourbon Club. We have a bottle called Duck Q, which was really cool. It was a blend that he made that was absolutely delicious. And then we had a couple other bottles too that we made as a club, but we had one, we private labeled it NRBC, North Raleigh Bourbon Club. It was a 4-blend bourbon that was absolutely delicious. Everybody in the club, agreed that it was one of the best blends that we've ever had. So we got it bottled. We did it. It is kind of expensive to get your own bottle. It's about $200, but that includes the entire experience, trying all the different bourbons, and then of course making your own blended bourbon and naming it and private labeling it. So if you're in Kentucky and if you're into making your own blends or making your own private label bottles, definitely check out Bourbon 30. That place was really cool. But I think the biggest advice we have for folks is that make sure if you do go out to the Bourbon Trail, you connect with these different distilleries ahead of time to see when you can go on tours, because they do book up very fast. Also, leave yourself a little bit of time in between distilleries, because some of them are a little bit more distant. Oh, I forgot, we did go to Maker's Mark too. I'm going to do another video on that. But they are a little bit further away from each other, so leave yourself some time. Definitely make sure, if you're going with a group of guys or a group of gals or a combination, identify as somebody to be a driver, so you're responsible there, because we saved a ton of money by just doing it ourselves and not hiring a tour guide to take us out to drive us all. And we basically just reinvested that money into buying allocated bourbons. So we had a really good time. Highly recommend doing the Bourbon Trail. Like I said, if you want a link to the house that we stayed in, it was absolutely great. We had a great host, had a beautiful outdoor area and an indoor area that could host all of us. It was super quiet. It was a great time. So we also, on our YouTube channel, we have a playlist for the Bourbon Trail. So what we did is we recorded when we were doing a tasting or a tour of the distillery, we recorded that experience. So maybe you don't have the time or the funds or whatever might be right now to go see these distilleries. It's one of the reasons why we started this channel, is to provide that experience to you. So it almost felt like you're there, but you don't have to be there. So if you go over to our YouTube channel, it's one of our playlists, the Bourbon Trail. We have multiple videos when we were in Buffalo Trace, Heaven Hill, a couple other ones too. So as always, folks, thank you so much for enjoying our content. We hope that you find it helpful. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel. Make sure to comment if you have any questions. But overall, we had a great experience. We hope that you're enjoying the content that we're putting out here to the group, and hope that it helps you maybe organize a trip, or like I said, maybe you watch one of our blind taste reviews that is non-biased, with a bunch of different dudes trying bourbon that have drank bourbon for a while, and it might dissuade you from buying a bottle because our group did not rate it very well, or the exact opposite. So anyway, we hope you have a great day. Thanks for being a subscriber. Thanks for following us. We appreciate all the love. Much love to all of y'all. Cheers, and have a great rest of your